I'm going to have to make
Same family, they were hooked up with the other.
That's true.
One, two, one, two, one, two. No, you still can't hear me.
Then you go. You gotta wonder if they really were.
The other computers, I can hear them talking very well.
One, two, checking 1, 2, 3,
Yes.
2, 3. Yes.
Yes.
Hooray. It's nice to see.
Echo.
Okay, you talk. You talk.
Okay, so is that good? There was an echo before, David. Maybe he got rid of that.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes. Except there's a reverberation.
Bonnie, where are you?
Checking.
I'm home. I have a little
too
bit
much
of the
noise in here
sniffles.
too, so
Oh, I'm
let me see what I
sorry.
can
Yeah.
do.
That's okay. Do you turn off the speaker from the other computer?
They did.
Because I can hear everybody coming in and talking.
I don't know why.
1, 2, 3.
I can hear you.
So let me put this on mute. No, that's not going to happen.
Can you mute your other computer?
Oh, you think that's
I'm not really sick enough, but I was concerned if I came and I had to be sneezing and that they would get worried. Okay, that I think that's good. Go back to the other one now. Uh-oh. There, no, but there's some sort of reverberation there. Yeah, there's an echo beating. Can't hear you.
One, two, three.
I can hear you now.
Okay, but it's also.
There's still a bit of an echo. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The reverberation thing stopped.
Yeah, the echo stopped. I'm talking now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, but she's talking to David. She's talking to David.
Okay, so now I'm talking and I don't have very much to say, so I'll just keep talking and saying I'm talking and it's a lovely day outside my window.
It's beautiful, just like you.
Oh,
I have
oh, there
I
it
have
goes
a
again.
sign,
Oh,
okay,
good.
or help. Can't hear.
You hear me?
Yes,
With an echo.
maybe. Yeah, a little bit of an echo.
Well, I can put my phone away so I don't have to text
Text
you.
me. I'll look at the chat.
No,
Oh,
you're you're okay. You're the
right. No.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
yes, yes.
1, 2, 1, 2. Okay.
And if you have not yet put on your talit, please rise and we'll put the talit on together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher qiddashanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzit. And you may be seated. And the service begins on page 14.
Like having services announced. You're in time to hear. You're in time to hear all the echoes. Yeah, well, that's the way you all so I guess we go to the other one. We come back and one, two.
Okay, the reason that Bonnie is not here in person, but she is over there, is because she has the sniffles and she's fine. She took a COVID test last night, but she was afraid that some of you might be alarmed that she is sniffling and you're afraid you're going to die soon as a result of her sniffles. And so she stayed home, but rest assured that she is doing fine. And you will not get COVID from her in any event. So let us continue on page 14. Yes. Surely on my child, but it's hardly pushing. Surely on my child, but it's hardly pushing. Surely on my child, but it's pushing. Surely on my child, but it's pushing. Surely on my child. Page 15. Sadi Damari from Amari Here by my road. La 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 la. La 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 la. It feels the late through Shama. The help sign doesn't mean that she needs help.
David, it keeps cutting out.
Turn something and,
Oh, now it's loud right there.
what does this do?
That's good. Stay right there. Do you have to move the computer closer to where you're singing?
All right, let's try that. Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. No change.
No, that's okay now. That's okay. Oh my God. I don't know what it is.
For all of the folks at home, so we're still not able to hear.
David, it's coming in and out.
Go all the way up there, see what, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Except okay.
About getting mixed signals from your spouse. Right, seat together. The Shalom Yabakim for the Aretz for Toli. Hey, new Sanity Apa Yeshua Ata. Ubani Bakata Bikamu, Lashon, Bani Rishim Hagado Salabe, Met Lahodot Lecha Lechet Chabiava Baruch Ata Adonai. Abu Ferbi Amo Yisrael. Shem. Israel. We are Lord said to Moses, speak to the children of Israel and bid them to make tzitzit in the corners of their garments throughout their generations, putting it the corner of when you look upon the tzitzit, you will be reminded of all the commandments of the Lord and obey them. Take them in the heart or by the attraction of your eyes. That's when you be reminded to fulfill all my commandments and be consecrated to me. And the Lord your God who brought you from the land of Egypt. Azod, Jivahu, Ahubi, Shivahu. Elyon Baruch Mavarach, Moshe Bnei Yisrael Lechan Shira, Simcha Rabba V'Yamru Chulam, Mi Chamocha V'Eli Madonai, Mi Chamocha Nedar Bakodesh. Hayam Yachad Kulam Hoduvim Lichuvi Ameru Arunani Lo. So we paused to share what we are thankful for. This is birthday Shabbat, and the following people in our congregation are celebrating February birthdays: Nancy Scharf, Carol Karansky, Michael Easley, Betty Delman, Lorraine Szymanski, Karen Benson, Sima Schuster, Elizabeth Rader, and Day. Raise your hand if you are celebrating a birthday this month. Let's, Harvey, you're celebrating a birthday this month?
No, but Jack is.
Your great grandson, Jack. Okay, very good. So to all of them, let's wish them a happy birthday. And now we're going to have a chance to share what we are thankful for. I hesitate to move the microphone, so I'll just repeat what you folks say. Who would like to share? Why are you thankful? Mo?
Thankful that I'm here because I beat a bout with COVID, so I was happy about that. I'm also happy it's the first time I'm wearing my son gave me Tali for Hanukkah. He didn't give me instructions how to wear it, however. So, but I'm wearing my kippah for my granddaughter's bat mitzvah and my talit that my son gave me for Hanukkah.
Wow, okay, so Mo is recovering from COVID. He also got a talit as a Hanukkah gift from his son. And it did not come with any instructions, but he figured it out anyway. It looks like you got it out pretty good. Okay. And the kippah is from what?
From my granddaughter's bat mitzvah.
From your granddaughter's bat mitzvah. Very nice. Who else would like to share what you are thankful for? Raise your hand, Judy.
I had a very nice visit with Barbara Drummond. Oh, that was,
Judy visited with Barbara. Tell us how she's doing.
well, she's in hospice care. And I don't know if she's aware of that, but she's just resting pretty much all the time, but she's not uncomfortable. And we had a very nice conversation. I was able to help her eat some lunch, so it was very nice.
Barbara's tracking conversations and
And
she's
she
resting.
told me that you visited her for an hour. She tells me that every time I see her. And she always also asks me, do I know how you and Bonnie met? All the time.
Oh, she will never forget how we met. Yes.
She loves it.
That's nice. Thank you, Judy. Who else would like to share? Harvey.
I'm grateful to several people, but people who don't have to do what they offered to do, like Judy kept bringing me here and taking me home. And I have a total stranger. An organization called Wings Over Wendy Veterans Group. And originally, Sherry and I used to go every Monday morning. They have, and then when Sherry wasn't available, all of a sudden I get a phone call from a total stranger. If you'd like to come to the meeting, I'll pick you up. I mean, these people out of their hearts are full and they fill me up. Unbelievable.
Very nice. So Harvey's thankful for the people who go above and beyond, like Judy. And the gentleman, he's fairly young, I think he's in his 40s, right? Who drives him to the restaurants for Monday meetings of his veterans group.
And he's the only man in the world that I know named Max who isn't.
Max, who does not seem to be Jewish, and the only Max that Harvey knows is not. Thank you, Harvey. Who else would like to share what you're thankful for, Mike?
I'm happy that I'm recovering from that surgery I had, and it's taking a lot longer than I thought, but I'm getting there.
Mike continues to recover. Thank you. Who else would like to share what you're thankful for, Ray?
I'm glad that the sun is out and hopefully we need rain, but hopefully not for a while because we're still dealing with some leaks. And, you know, if anybody here is a roofer or has a good recommendation, we've already had several estimates. Anyway, you know, seriously, I'm glad we live here in Southern California because our daughter Renee is in Connecticut where they're having a northeast polar vortex or whatever they call it. But fortunately, she is on her way to Hawaii to teach a class. And she was so glad because she said it was going to be -6 where they live. So she's on her way to Hawaii. And she said the other people at the Coast Guard Academy were very jealous. But of course, she's not going to sightsee. She's going to teach a class. And then she's going on to Guam.
So thankful for the sun and the rain.
That's right.
all this, and thankful for the warmth, and thankful that Renee is going to be leaving the East Coast where there's frigid temperatures to teach in Hawaii and then Guam. By the way, my grandson is in Syracuse, where, according to the news report, the wind chill is supposed to be -24. So we're looking forward to hearing how that's going. Thank you. Who else would like to share what you're thankful for? Jordan.
At the last Shabbat services, I announced that after 35 years of practicing law, I was finally in a jury trial and doing a jury trial. Well, I'm pleased to announce that I won the trial. The attorney for the plaintiff turned to me, shook my hand and said, "That'll be another notch on your belt." And I said, "Nope, it's the first." And whenever anybody wins a trial at my office, the head of the firm sends out an email saying congratulations, and then everybody else responds with reply all, "Oh, good job," and all this stuff. And it just annoyed me that it filled up my mail, fills up your mailbox when you get all these, except this time it wasn't so bad.
Jordan won his first jury trial. Many more. Who else would like to share what you're thankful for? Okay, Stan, you're up.
Wait, me, Bonnie,
So I'm gonna have to put you on a different sound.
Bonnie, wait a minute,
We're gonna see if we can get
David.
Bonnie
David.
to share.
Oh,
Yeah,
David, can you hear me?
Raise up your hand.
yeah, I'm,
Oh, yeah, that's what I think it's here.
okay, Bonnie,
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so the interesting thing is when talking goes on, everything comes in loud and clear. So David, unfortunately, I think we need to drop the guitar and just talk through the service. No, and we could hear everyone in the congregation very clearly. You didn't even have to repeat what they said.
Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
You guys are picking up the sound from the other computer.
Well, so we heard everybody in the congregation speaking very clearly. So maybe you should come and sing near that computer. Just a thought. Anyway, grateful to be trying to navigate this Zoom. Oh, now you're frozen.
Okay,
It's okay. Oh,
can you hear me now?
yes.
Okay, you can hear me now because we are not using this mic. So for now, we'll just use the microphone from the computer.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so Stan, you're gonna have to really speak up. Come on.
Maybe Bonnie has other.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So Bonnie, go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
Well, I'm grateful that it's only little sniffles that I have, and I'm just fine. So that's it.
Okay, good. Thank you. Anybody else want to share what you're thankful for? No? Okay.
I feel the ceiling over there.
Well, stand over here and
There we go.
Hear you a little bit better.
As usual, I have this honor, okay? Okay. And we have Jordan, our president, is also a resident US naval history buff, among other things. And he suggested that I talk about a particular rabbi who was Alexander David Good with an E at the end. The reason his name has an E at the end because his father was a Brooklyn rabbi, and when he came to this country, they shortened the name as many did. He was one of the 4 chaplains that was on the Dorchester, and some of us have talked about it before, that they're in in 1942, he and three other chaplains were aboard the ship that got torpedoed by the Germans. Well, I want to talk first about Alexander David Good himself. He excelled at sports in Eastern High School in Washington, D.C. He became a rabbi, graduating from the University of Cincinnati in 1937, Hebrew Union College. While studying there, he spent summers working as a rabbinic student at Washington Hebrew Congregation. In 1940, he received his PhD from Johns Hopkins University, married in 1935 to Teresa Flax, who happens to be a niece of Al Jolson, with whom they had one daughter, Rosalie. He served as a rabbi in Marion, Indiana, and York, Pennsylvania. In 1941, he founded a Boy Scout Troop 37 in York, which was the first multicultural mixed race troop, the first troop in the U.S. to have scouts that could earn Catholic, Jewish, and Protestant awards. In that same year, he applied to become a Navy chaplain, but was turned down. The following year, he was accepted into the Army with orders to Harvard, where he studied at the chaplain school in preparation for deployment to Europe, followed by a brief service at an Air Force base in North Carolina. In 1942, he joined the other members of the Fort Chaplain and was detailed to embark on the Dorchester a few years later, 3 months later. At 31, he was always accomplished. Before the war, he had followed in his father's footsteps. We talked about that before. In late January 1943, he boarded the Dorchester at New York City, a former passenger liner converted into a troop ship during the war. And the other three rabbis, the Catholic priest, John P. Washington, Reverend George L. Fox, the Reformed Church of America, and the Reverend Clark V. Poling. And the last two were previously classmates of Good at the Harvard Chaplain School. Weighed down with nearly 600 soldiers, 171 civilians, and 1,000 tons of cargo, equipment, and food, the Dorchester slipped away from the docks at St. John's, Newfoundland, into bad weather January 29. Vessel was part of a 6-ship convoy crossing the freezing North Atlantic, bound for a U.S. military base in Narsarsuaq, Greenland. The convoy soon entered one of the most dangerous sections of the Western Atlantic. It was torpedoed, and the ship was obviously sinking. It was leaned over. They knew that it was not going to, that they would not survive. There weren't enough lifeboats and life jackets for the whole crew. And all four of the chaplains offered their life jackets and in some cases their other equipment to the soldiers on board. Turns out many of the 870 men and 2 women were in their bunks, anticipating their impending arrival at Greenland. Some had followed the chaplain's orders to wear their clothes, boots, and life jackets while asleep, but mostly didn't. They plunged into darkness from a loss of power. In 1944, Good, Washington, Fox, and Poling received Purple Hearts and Distinguished Service Crosses, and a chapel in their honor was dedicated February 3rd, 1951 by President Harry Truman at the Grace Baptist Church of Philadelphia, and further recognition followed in 1960 when Congress posthumously awarded them an unprecedented Congressional Medal of Valor. Also in 1988, Congress unanimously resolved that February 3rd was Fort Chaplain's Day in America.
Did anyone survive?
Yes. Oh, yes. There were hundreds that survived.
And there was a rumor, it may not be true, but that the last time they saw the 4 chaplains, they were together holding each other in the water, singing hymns. But as one of the dedications said, that whether or not that happened, the bottom line is they were both true to their country and to their gods.
Mike?
For anybody who visits Philadelphia, that chapel's right across the street from City Hall.
Well, it's certainly a unique time in our history, and time to appreciate Rabbi Good and the other chaplains, and to appreciate what so many people have done for us that we take for granted. That's my view, that we don't often in the Zakor remember how blessed we are that these people, many of them gave their lives, and here we are in this wonderful country. Thank you.
Thank you, Stan. Let us all rise and prepare to share privately our prayers of thankfulness and gratitude. Sur Yisrael, Kuma v'Ezra Yisrael, Ufedei Chinumeha Yehuda v'Yisrael, Go Aleinu, Yitzvah Shemot, Yedov Yisrael, Baruch. Yisrael. Continue quiet. Shalom. Oh, shalom. Oh, say shalom, shalom, shalom. Nimro, shalom. Yaakov, Israel, Yitgera v'yitgera shmei Rabba. Yamani brachi uteva mechmach uteva chayif on Rabbi Mechon v'chayil ochbeit Yisrael. V'agalav izman k'rivi emiru. Hey shmei Rabba v'gora. Lo l'avreil k'mayai. Yibarach yishtabach yikvar v'kamami v'sei. V'yithadar v'yit'alev v'kolal shmei v'kudusha. V'yit'alev v'kudusha shurata. Tushbachata v'nachmata da'amiran b'yomav yimiru. Tikabel Salaton Devoton to Israel. Katabavon Bishmai Yimiru. May Islamarav and Shamaya, the Himalaya of Alko Israel Yimiru. No say Shalom Bimroma. Booyah say Shalom. Later be Alko Israel Yimiru. That's my others and for our Torah service. We'd like to carry the Torah through the congregation. Whose turn is it? So it's Lou's turn. Lou, okay. Whether you like it or not, you're gonna do this. We're practicing the hall. Who would like to be a Hagba? Hagba, who would like to pick up the turn? Whose turn is it? It's Mo's turn, good. And who would like to be the Galila? Ray, good. Okay, we've got our honors designated. Let's continue on page 19. Ein kamocha ba'elokim, v'ein kemasecha, malchutecha, malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol dor. Adonai, 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 Malam. Adonai, 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 Yuvarei, Tavo Hashem. Tivne Chova Yerushalayim, Tivne Chova Yerushalayim. Kuma Adonai, Sanecha, Zion takes Yerushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, V'Kedushato, Ve'Be'Arachetz, Ve'Lishmei Kadisha, Kadisha Yakira, Anamartu Shmecha, Ve'Arachetz, Ve'Arachetz, Ve'Lishmei Kadisha, Kadisha Yakira, Anamartu Shmecha, Yehi Rabakayama, Tetiv Taplevi, the Oraita, the Dasmin,
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol.
L'roma Shemo Yachdav.
Adonai.
Yeah, it's just what-
Zion takes Zion takes Zion takes Zion Zion takes Torah. King Zion, King Zion, Zion takes goodbye. We're going to read the Torah portion this Shabbat, and I did not. um, but that's okay. So I purposely did not roll the Torah yet because I wanted you to see that every now and then we have portions in the Torah that are very easy to find, such as this one. And you can see that it's actually in a very interesting configuration because it's a poem. It's a song. This is known as Shabbat Shirah. This is the song of the sea. And this is when the Israelites finally get off out of Egypt. They cross the Sea of Reeds, and they are now safe. And Moses gives a poem, and the poem is all about how thankful everybody is, all the Israelites, that they succeeded in getting across with their lives intact, and Pharaoh and all of his henchmen drowned. Although there's a question as to whether Pharaoh was involved in drowning or not, or did he continue to live? But and if you look over there, you can see what it looks like in the Tikkun. So every Torah is created the same way, and the portion is also found in the weekday service. It's known as the Az Yashir. So let us all point right here. We'll kiss. Join together. Baruch Az Yashir Moshe b'nei Israel et hashira hazot l'Adonai v'yamru lemor hashira l'Adonai ki go'ah sus v'rochavo rama v'yam azi v'zimratia v'hili v'shua ze'eli v'anvehu Elohei avi v'romavenhu Adonai ish milchama Adonai shemo Markavot Faro, the Halo Yaram, Mitharsh Lishwa, Tibu, the Amsuv, the Hobot Yachasiuma, Yardubim, Solot Kamo Avan, Yamin Chadranai, Nidarai, Bahoach, Yamin Chadranai, Tirat Soye, Uberod Guncha, Taros, Kapecha, Tishacha, Charuncha, Yichalame, Milkakash. Once again. Baruch atah Adonai. I'm here. Can you see me and hear me okay? Okay, we got the okay. Used to people used to go like that, but now we carry signs. So I want to talk about 3 holidays that are coming up. The first holiday is Sunday night and Monday, and that's Tu B'Shvat. We are celebrating the new year for the trees, and I encourage you to go out, especially on Monday, and hug a tree, really enjoy nature. The second holiday that I want to talk about is Passover. And the reason is because there is something in the Torah portion this Shabbat that we need to know something about the Shabbat in order to understand what I just read in the Torah portion. because there's something that on Passover, we sing a song, Dayenu, and there's one line in the Dayenu that talks about the Shabbat. And it says, Ilu natan lanu et Shabbat, v'lo kervanu lifnei har Sinai Dayenu, which means had God given us the Shabbat, but not brought us to Har Sinai, to Mount Sinai, that would have been enough. Do any of you see a problem with that sentence? Had God given us the Shabbat, but not brought us to Mount Sinai, that would have been enough. And the answer that I would have given is, how could that be? Where do we get the laws of the Shabbat? We got the laws of the Shabbat on Mount Sinai. Before that, they were not keeping the Shabbat. They didn't have to keep the Shabbat. So the answer to the question is kind of given in our Torah portion. And I want to share a little bit of it with you. And here we're going to see a pre-Sinaitic law. So remember, they're not at Mount Sinai yet. This is when they first crossed the sea. And then this is what our Torah portion says. So they're grumbling, they're upset. The Israelites rightfully are complaining because they haven't eaten or drunk and they need food. And so they complain to God. And God says, all right, well, I'm going to provide food. And God says the following. And this is the way it's recorded in the Torah. So they gathered this manna. So manna is going to be coming from heaven. It's going to land on the ground and people are going to pick it up and they're going to gather it and then they're going to eat it. And then God gives them this instruction. So they gathered it every morning, each as much as he needed, for when the sun grew, it would melt. On the sixth day, they gathered double the amount, 2 omers for each. And when all the chieftains of the community came and told Moses, he said to them, this is what the Lord meant. Tomorrow, so now this is Friday, he says, tomorrow is going to be a day of rest, a holy Shabbat to the Lord. Bake what you would bake and boil what you would boil, and all that is left put aside to be kept until Shabbat, until the morning. So they put it aside until morning, as Moses had ordered, and it did not turn foul, and there were no maggots in it, because the days before, when they kept it overnight, they saw that in the morning they were going for their breakfast, and the food that they stored overnight turned into maggots, because God said, I don't want you to gather for the next day, except on Friday. So they found that they were able to do this, and on the Shabbat, they had food to eat. Then Moses said, eat it today, for tomorrow is a Shabbat of the Lord. You will not find it today. You will find it. You will not find it on the plain. 6 days you shall gather it. On the 7th day of the Shabbat, there will be none. So, what's the point here? The point here is that they did celebrate the Shabbat. And when in the Torah portion that's coming up soon, when the Israelites are going to receive the commandments, the so-called 10 commandments, remember that the commandment of the Shabbat says, the 4th commandment, Zechor Yom HaShabbat L'Kadsho. Stan already used the word Zecher when he gave his little commentary, because it means to remember. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. So the rabbis say, well, how do you remember something that you never kept? And the answer is because they did keep it. They kept it in this pre-Sinaitic law that said that you shall not gather the manna, because gathering is going to become one of the instructions that God gives that you cannot do on the Shabbat. There were only 5 things that God says that you should not do on the Shabbat. Everything else is created by the rabbis later. And that is going to be gathering, it's going to be transportation, it's going to be food preparation, harvesting, and it's going to be not lighting a fire. So God does not want them to go out and gather the food because he wants them to celebrate the Shabbat. So it tells us that they did get Shabbat laws before they got to Mount Sinai. And that is why in the Dayenu, it says, and remember this on Passover, because maybe at your Seder table, you can kind of challenge people to answer the question, because it's in all of your Haggadahs, but the answer is because God did give them the Shabbat before he gave them the laws to keep the Shabbat. And then this also explains why we have 2 challahs, Friday night and Shabbat dinner, because of the double portion of manna that God gave. But let me tell you what baffles me. What baffles me is what comes next in the Torah. This is what we read. Yet some of the people went out on the seventh day to gather, but they found nothing. And the Lord said to Moses, how long will you men refuse to obey my commandments and my teachings? Mark that the Lord has given you the Shabbat, therefore he gives you 2 days food on the sixth day, that everyone remain where he is, no transportation. Let no one leave his place on the seventh day, so the people remained inactive on the Shabbat. So my question is, why were people going out on Saturday when God specifically said, don't do that? Now, there might be those people who would say, well, maybe it's because they just didn't believe Moses. And they didn't believe that God would actually provide food, and they stored it up over Friday night. But maybe there's something else involved here. Maybe it's because these people weren't able, the ones who went out on Saturday and gathered food, even though they shouldn't. Maybe there are some people like them who have trouble viewing Shabbat as a different day, that it is inherently a different type of day of the 7 days of the week. And why would they not be able to understand this? Because they never had a day off. They were slaves. They had to work 7 days a week. They had no idea what it was like to take a day off. And so they needed to properly train their mind that there was going to be a day when you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to go out and collect the manna, but they were creatures of habit. And 7 days was how often they went out and they worked. And the question is, what is the teaching for today? And the answer is because we have manna gatherers today on the Shabbat as well. We have people who continue to have difficulty understanding that Shabbat is a different day of the week. And there are ways that we can make it significantly different. So for those people who work 5 days a week, their only challenge is to figure out how to make Saturday different from Sunday. Those of us who are now retired need to figure out how do we make Shabbat different from the other 6 days of the week. So let me just ask you, what do you do to enhance the Shabbat? Now, obviously, coming to services is one way, but Judy, how else?
I kind of free myself from all kinds of responsibilities that I take care of on the other days. I try not to shop. I try not to do anything on the computer. I don't follow up on stuff. It's just a day for me to relax and not think about all the things that need to be done.
So really cut back, put the technology aside. Don't do the work that you did for your job on Saturday and just try to put it all away. And, you know, the rabbis say that if you have a pending, really important job-related activity that you have the next week, and you're really worried about it, don't worry on the Shabbat. What you need to do is have your mind say, well, I already had that activity last week and everything was okay. And so you don't have to worry about it on Shabbat. Who else would like to share? What do you do to enhance the Shabbat? Stan?
Well, we have a Shabbat dinner on Friday night. It's a ritual dinner, the prayers that go with it. And we discuss the Torah portion actually after the dinner through a book that I have. And for the whole time, it's not that we don't do anything else, but we focus on the Shabbat and the Torah.
Very nice. Study the Torah and do the other activities of the Shabbat dinner. Thank you. Hey, who else would like to share? One more person. Who else would like to share? What do you do to enhance the Shabbat? So what's important to remember is that the Shabbat is significant not only by the things we do, like going to services and having a Shabbat meal and doing the hamotzi and the kiddush and lighting candles and studying Torah, but what we don't do. Because a lot of the laws of the Torah are, as Judy had pointed out, things that we are going to make sure that we don't do in order to enhance the day. And so the way in which my family and I try to make it special is obviously we don't go to work, we don't do our shopping, we don't do the laundry, we we stay home generally, except driving to shul and back, and then even driving to the synagogue. I turn my music off. I turn the radio off, so that makes it a very special day. Normally, I'm listening to classical music whenever I'm in the car. I purposely turn it off in order to make the Shabbat different. There are other ways that some people can make the Shabbat different, even if you have to go to work, for example. Take a different route. If you have to do an activity, try to find a way to do it a little bit differently. If you have to write something down, then use your other hand. And that way, whenever you do that, you won't be able to read what you just wrote. But it is also a way in which we demonstrate that this is a different day. We're going to show that. When I take a shower, I don't shave after I take my shower on the Shabbat. So try to think about how your Shabbat can be enhanced, what we can do in order to make it different. And always keep in mind that it's not just what we do, but it's also what we refrain from doing that will enable us to make this day a very, very special day. And then when we have done that and made this a Shabbat that affects our soul, then we can say, Dayenu, that this really has been enough. We're going to do a Misha Berach for those who were not well, and I'm going to ask you to mention their names in a moment. Let's get the people on the screen first. Janet?
Okay, Richard Kirschbaum, Brandy Gillum, Grant Hackman, Sheriff Farber, Faggy Farber, David Iwanski, and Barbara Jo Kirschbaum.
Thank you. Bonnie?
Nadav Sella, Jane Apson, Bonnie Ritter, Fran Winters, Linda Rohrman, Nancy Arkin.
Thank you.
Nancy Statton, Ryan Statton, Jimmy Green, Bob Bentone, Noah Bentone.
By the way, sometimes the moment that somebody is now listening to your list, it's easy to forget names. So if you forgot your name, either we can come back to you, or I think if you're saying the name to God for any reason, God will probably read your thoughts and figure out what that name was, and then he did that. Mike?
Joan Easley, Francis Bowman.
Thank you.
Phil Goldberg, Roger Parker.
Thank you.
Bill and Madeline Cooperman, Ray and Diane Mountainer, Fran Baldwin, Sheila Hart, Jeanette Tubasana, Suzanne Adio, Barbara Glenn.
And by the way, Fran Kamalek's patient has changed. She's now at home.
She was at home.
I don't think so.
No. Believe she's in a rehab.
She's in rehab.
She's Shirley Matlin was
Colin was Chuck Richmond, Linda Weiss.
Two.
Barbara Grudman, Jeff Hart,
Thank you. Thank you.
Megan Ross, Keith Arab, Ellie Apperfield, Fran Kavolnik, Sam Kavolnik, John Stonehacker, Diana Stonehacker, Rodney, Barbara Grudman, and Sheila Hart.
Thank you.
Jakob Ferris, Shoshana, Raquel Mata, Shoshana, Aya, Bashina, Malta.
Sheila.
Bruce Kabbalah, Mike Roach, Robert Bell, Chris Peterson, and Tim Hughes.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Gary.
The other names.
George Schroeder and Sheila.
Denise Feldman, Shane and Jerry Rear.
Other names? Mr. Mayor, Habitatio, Abraham Yitzchak, Yaakov, Hirar was what the Nefesh Refuat Haguf, the Toshach Israel and Umar. Amen. May the All Merciful restore these people to full health and vigor, along with all others who are struggling with illness. And let us say, a prayer for the United States and then a prayer for Israel. May God bless the United States of America and protect her. And before we have our prayer for Israel, thank you, Stan, for this information. Doctors at the Wolfson Medical Center in Holon successfully implemented a new treatment for pancreatic cancer this week. The treatment has never been attempted previously in Israel, and it involves the injection of a radioactive substance into patients who are diagnosed with advanced pancreatic cancer. And one of the doctors who was involved in this said that while today the accepted treatment for patients has been 1 or 2 types of chemotherapy, this unique treatment makes it possible to deliver a large and concentrated amount of radiation directly into the tumor without affecting and damaging other organs. And the goal is to shrink the tumor to such a size that it will be possible to perform surgery and resect the tumor. And this is the first time in Israel that radioactive medicinal substance to treat cancerous tumor is injected directly into the target organ under endoscopic ultrasound guidance. So thank you. That's good news. Please rise as we say our prayer for Israel. Amen. Shabbat Shamayim. Remain standing for Musaf. Yikara, Vikara Shemay Rabba, Yilmadi Rachirute, Vimachmachute, Vechaye, Konuyo, Uchaye, Rechoved Yisrael, Uvizman Kavi, Viemeru, Yeshmei Rabba Mevorach, Yitbarach, Vishtabach, Viparvitama, Mirase, Vitadar, Vitale, Vitala, Shemeda Kudisha, Leila, Kolakata, Vishirata, And on page 22, we're going to back up 3 small steps, back forward 3 steps, put our heels together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu. Hey, Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarai, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Sting Tomlin, Mikanen, Uncle, is a first day of what who may be going. I gave her Amarina, the high team of the top of the Mashivaruach Maria Gas, Michael Chaim Bechesed, Michael Meitim Berach, Faith no flinger, faith holy, oh my chair of free, oh Michael Tov, Mishene Alpha, Michal Nocha, to me no mela. Reminds me of Yeshua, Manata Adonai, Mechaye Hameti, Naris Chavinagadish Kesosia, Sarfei Kodesh, Amarti Shim Shimcha Kodesh, Kakadu Vayandeviacha, Kekara Delze Viam. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Yisrael, Opalatris Gizot, Yevot Malay Malay Olam, Mishar Tav Shamalim Shalom Zelazer, I Mekom Givot, I Mekom Givot, Yimotani Baruch, Yimotani Baruch, Givot Adonai, Im Kama Umorifan, Orifan Berachamim, Yahweh Nam Hamyachadim Shema, Erev Avoker B'chol Yom Tamid, Pamayim B'yavad Shema Omri, Shema Yisrael, Adonai, Rein Adonai, Oh, Einu, oh, Avinu, oh, Malkeinu, oh, Avinu, oh, Malkeinu, oh, Moshiach. Yashmienu, Berachama, Shedi, the end, and Koha. Yashmienu, Berachama, Shedi, the end, and Koha. Yolachem Elohim, the Adonai Elohim. Jivei Kochecha Katuv Lemor, Yiloch Adonai Leolam, Elohim Zion, Arvador, Hallelujah. Dorvador Nagid Godlecha, Netzach Netzachim Kedusha Hanaktish, the Shifchacha Eloheinu Mipinu Liamush Lilam Vaed, Yilmech Gadol Kadusha Tabaruch Atadonai, Ha'elakato. Please be seated. Yes, Mechu Onei Shabbat. Shomrei Shabbat. Onei Shabbat. Mekadeshei Shevei Shabbat. Kulam Nispu. Bidan Gumituvecha Shabbat. Yismeru. Malach V'techa. Shomrei Shabbat. Onei Shabbat. Yismeru. Shomrei Shabbat. Onei Shabbat. Uvashvi'i Ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat. Chemdat yamim tokarata zecher lemaseh v'resh. And now to share our announcements, our President Jordan Pistor.
Shabbat Shalom. President and trial attorney with an undefeated record. Even Perry Mason lost one case. Next Thursday, February 9th, will be Around the Rabbi's virtual Tish via Zoom at 7:30 p.m. Saturday, February 11th, will be our Shabbat Torah study session at the Schroeder's and via Zoom at 10:30 a.m. And if one Tish is good, two Tish are better. So there'll be another Tish on Thursday, February 16th at 7:30 p.m., again via Zoom. And on February 18th at 10:30 a.m., we're all back here. And in case you weren't able to hear me, can you see that? And of course, also coming down the pike, April 30th, the Walk to End Genocide beginning at Television City in Hollywood and going past the Museum of Tolerance. And make sure you go and register for the Shir Ami team and perhaps ending at Cantor's.
I just wanted to add that I am delighted to report that so far, our little show, we have 9 people that have registered. We've raised over $300. We're on our way, and we welcome many more virtually, even in spirit, even if people can't come down there to Los Angeles.
Right, if you don't come down to Los Angeles, no Cantor's for you. Shabbat Shalom.
At our last Tish, it was discussed when we were discussing prayer. And one of the questions of the 10 questions that we're now doing in every Tish was, is there a value to reciting a prayer in Hebrew, even if you don't know Hebrew? And the answer was, well, yes, for a number of reasons that we discussed at the Tish. But some people said, yeah, but shouldn't we know what the prayer means? Shouldn't we? Yeah, we can read the English translation, but isn't there more to it? And so we're going to now incorporate that into our Tishes in the future. We're going to be taking a look at some of the prayers in the prayer book and briefly going through them and trying to see what some of the lessons are that we learned from them, how they developed, why they're there in the prayer book. And so I encourage you to continue to tune in on Thursday night, every Thursday night, 7:30 to 8:30 sharp. And now included in the 10 questions of the 200 that we do. We already did 100, by the way, in this last semester. So I invite you to come and hear the next 100 and find out more about our prayers and our services. Let us join together in the singing of Ein Keloheinu, page 24. Ein Keloheinu. V'nemar v'hayarnai v'mechal kol haaretz v'yom nahu ye'al Ushema, Ushema, Ushema. Be seated, however, those who are observing midnight or are in mourning, please remain standing for the mourners' cottages. We observe these yahrzeits of the coming 2 weeks. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. Paul A. Krupp, Ann Helen Sitzer, Manya Kramer, Frank Miller, Lori Orens, Belle Shackman, Clara Schneer, Allegra Chaim, Florence Kirschbaum, Herbert Liverant, Leonard Meschel, Olga Alperstein, Sarah Goldberg, Rose Suckman, Mickey Levine, Farida B. Morales, Ruth Tapper, Harry Shackman, Allegra Chaim, Nathan Josephi, Theodore Ted Lipschutz, and Maxwell Margolis. Are there any names that we neglected? Right? Any other names that we neglected? Richard?
Alan Beck.
Thank you. Any other names we neglected? The Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 25. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah v'yalmad divrachi rutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael v'agala u'v'zman kari v'yamiru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach v'yolamu l'omei omai Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitrumam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal Shemei Dekudacha Brichu Laila Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tut Birchata V'Nechamata Amiran V'Alma V'Imiru Amen. Yehesh Lama Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chayim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imiru Amen. Oseh Shalom Mimromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imiru Amen. Please be seated. And let us join together in our concluding hymn, Adon Olam, on page 26. Adon Olam, Kitlot hakol levado, Yimloch Torah, Vehu hayam, Vehu ben, Vehu yeh b'tifara, Vehu echa v'yein sheni, Shilo le'achvira, v'li'reishi, v'li'tachli, V'lo ha'oz v'ha'nisra, Vehu evi, I go a link, it's your family. Sarah, who needs see everyone knows these, and I go see beyond the cross, beyond of keeping the age, I label, please rise. Shabbat Shalom and happy Tu B'Shvat.
Tomorrow is my English birthday. Tu B'Shvat's my Hebrew birthday. So it's one day off from the year I was born.
Very strange how the sound goes in and out with the guitar.
It's because there's a suppressor
that's built in so that when the sound becomes greater, so it doesn't overload the system, it'll make it less. So that's why throughout the service, every time that there was more sound, you heard less sound. And I don't know what we can do about that, but we will continue to, but Shana liked it.
Well, I'll have to, I was gonna call her and ask her if on live stream, because she's not on Zoom, she's on live stream, it's different than on
Right, but-
Zoom.
She just gave me a thumbs up, so apparently for Shana it was okay.
Okay, well, she
Good
also
for
liked,
Shana.
she liked my signs.
I thought your signs were great.
Yeah, but it's very frustrating because as I said, we could hear the congregation speaking beautifully and we could hear you speaking beautifully. And when you sang and we didn't hear as much of the guitar, then your singing came through at the end. But, and I was even thinking, is there a different mic that can incorporate the guitar and the voice simultaneously?
Yeah. Judy, did you want to talk to Bonnie?
Yeah, I did. How did you know that? Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, Judy.
It's me behind here. I'm gonna give this book to David if he's willing to take it home today. I don't know. Okay. This is a book I told you about a while ago, which I want back eventually, but there's absolutely no rush. I just think you'll find it delightful.
Okay, good.
It's supposed to be, it's a facsimile book. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay, it's an exact duplicate, like on a duplicating machine of the original published book called Jewish Cookery Book. The first Jewish cookbook, but it's way more than a cookbook. It's about everything. Illness, a household, everything. Jewish stuff.
Did that have origins in St. Louis by any chance?
I feel like it was Philadelphia, but I'm not sure.
Okay, no, the interesting thing is when we were in St. Louis, they had a cookbook that was an original kind of thing, just like that. I don't remember that it was Jewish, but it was like living life. Interesting.
Yes, it's unbelievably comprehensive and just fascinating to read. It was published in 1871 in Philadelphia.
Okay.
So,
all right, thank you.
It's in a Noah's Ark bag.
Okay, great. Thank you, Judy. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I wanted to ask Janet, you mentioned that you were going to be in Woodland Hills or whatever for one of the Shabbat services. Is it the coming one that you're going to be here? Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to plan something because we don't get a chance to see you so much.
Oh, You're
Okay, I'll
sweet.
be looking forward to
That'll
it.
be her birthday Shabbat.
yeah. No, this is the celebration
You
birthdays.
missed this. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. You're so sweet. Oh, feeling loved. Okay.
I will tell her.
Okay,
Hey, just wanted to make sure you got her good wishes for a speedy recovery.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna shut this puppy down. So thank you all,
Okay.
Jen, Richard. Good to see you as always. Bonnie,
Yes.
I will see you a little bit later on.
I'll be
I
here.
still-
Yes, lunch rate waiting.
Well, I
I still
asked
don't
him.
know
He
what I
said,
want for lunch.
yeah.
I think
So it's
maybe a
not ready.
hard-boiled egg and some lots and butter. That should be enough.
Okay, that's perfect. I don't have to cook.
That sounds like something he would have. Yes, absolutely. All right. See you guys. Feel better, Bonnie.
I really do. I was erring on the side of caution. I didn't want anybody to be nervous that I was sneezing or blowing my nose more than I should and infecting anybody. So,
Yeah, I can hear it in your nose.
yeah. But
Okay,
I
they're
really
waiting for
feel